you have to live it. You have to live it and believe it in order for it to work for you. And it's really understanding and getting into that place, whether, it doesn't matter how you pray, whether it's traditional Christian, if you're a Buddhist, or whichever way, to the goddesses, whichever way that it is, it's about that central life force, and the belief that we are meant to all live that good life. Next slide, please. In a historical context, as First Nations people, everyone had an important role to play in our tribe, from the ceremony carrier to the hunter, storyteller, knowledge keeper. And we've seen on Facebook, actually, there's a debate right now between knowledge keepers and knowledge carriers. So we'll say both of them: singer, midwife, and so on. No one person was skilled in everything, and it took a tribe unified through common purpose to succeed, grow, and prosper. There was and still is a very important role in our tribe, and that is the helper of the people. In the Heiau or Cree ways, this role is called the Oskapios. The helper became skilled in many things through years of hard work and dedication, often taking up the role as the teacher to younger generations. In mainstream world, they call it mentorship. They call it learning under somebody else, and learning and sitting quietly. And if you think about it, we've talked a lot about residential school and some of the traditional roles that we lost. But I think that what they couldn't take away from us is that ability to sit beside our grandparents, our kokum and mushums, and really learn from them, whether we realized it or not. We were learning. They were being our mentors. They were being our teachers, and they may not have been able to use it in our language, our traditional language, but truly we have had, even as a community, thinking about. I was more of a valley kid, and it was the people who worked at the school, it was the people who worked at for the church, it was the people who worked even at the store here, when I used to spend too many quarters on Pac-Man and Astro something or other. I can't remember that other. They had two games, right? Remember those two games that they had? Spent all my money there. Anyway, um, you know, everybody was a helper to that child, and that's where we all learned. And so it's still that way. And the helper became skilled in many things through years of hard work and I said that. And often take up the role as the teacher to younger generations. And Ascapios would eventually move into the role of the Katea, the knowledge keeper, or would opt to stay in the role. And that's really what we find even now, when we want to go and talk and sit and listen. They say that, when I listen to our knowledge keepers, or carriers and elders, even here on Cowessess, one thing that I keep on hearing over and over again is we're losing the art of visiting each other and having communal meeting, or not meetings, meals together. We've lost that Sunday meal, a lot of families. We've lost that getting together and everybody bringing a potluck. We've lost that ability to go and sit and visit. And some of that is, that we just came through a global pandemic, but that transfer of knowledge came very informally by that. And many of us could remember, like even little Gracie Ray, right now she doesn't realize it, but she's learning because she's coming to these community meetings, and she's finding aunties everywhere that take care of her, and that, make sure she's okay. And they're giving her advice, and sometimes a little bit of heck, and all of those things. That's the importance of community, and that's the importance of us belonging. And that's the role of the Kateak, or the Oskapios and the auntie, and all of those roles that we each carry. Next slide, please. Today, the role of the Oskapios is often used in the context of and associated with a role relegated to ceremonies only. However, the full breadth of the role was much more than that and can be used in the context of an employee who delivers programs and services to the people. Just like days of old, some of these roles deliver employment training. There we go. There's your part, Barry. Which in turn prepares an individual to become a productive member of the community. This is at the core of the phrase, it takes a community to raise a child. Eventually, that child will become an adult ready to pursue an education, skill, or trade. Oh, pardon me. And a healthy community will have a team ready to help that individual. And that's what we're talking about with the, whether it's with the prep center, whether it's through health, education, community meetings, is that we're creating that healthy community in order to help our little ones from this all the way to our little ones who are 5'2" like me. Next slide. At least one person laughed at that. Where we are today. So for our on-reserve labor force development, everybody, the old school is LFD, and that's under health and well-being. And labor force development, and Barry will talk about this, I'm sure, a little bit longer. It's on reserve, it's called LFD. Off reserve, it's called right now ISETs. And really what it is that pool of money that is not related to treaty. It's really important to say that labor force development, we use it as a vehicle, but it is a government program. It is not related to the treaty right to education and training, like we've talked about other treaties or other areas of treaty, but it is related to a government program in order for us to have that training and employment opportunity. It's also really important to note that under the ISETS program, we are the only province where there is only one agreement holder with the government of Canada, and we have several sub-agreements. When I used to run this program and I was the manager of the ISETS program for the city of Regina, I think at that time there were 42 sub-agreements. Do you know, Barry, how many there are? There were 42 sub-agreements within Saskatchewan. And it was all under the auspices of SciTag, Saskatchewan Indigenous Training and Training, what's the A for? And the last word is group. Okay, this is two people who've worked for like 20 years in the field, but we just call it SciTag. And SciTag is under the Saskatchewan Institute of Indigenous Technologies. And so there's a separate group that SciTag sits under with the SIT. And it's really also very important to note that because Cowessess, there's a good and a bad, a positive and a negative, whichever way that you look at it. For Cowessess being non-aligned or independent, we receive our own pot of money. Now, that is based on population of on reserve only. And that on reserve, in the sense that it's positive, is that it is meant for the people who live in this community. You don't have to be a Cowessess member to benefit from that pot of money, but you have to live on reserve. The drawback is that if we were part of a tribal council where there's a larger pot, is that there would be more money and there would be perhaps greater opportunity through other programs. Now that's where the uniqueness of the SciTag program or the ISETS program is that Barry has been able to do some amazing things and will continue to do some really great things in working with whether it's Yorkton Tribal Council or other non-aligned bands in order to pool that money in order to create greater opportunity. So the counselors responsible for the on-reserve labor force development are counselors Josh, counselors Brandon, and counselors Allie. Are we gonna clap? Did Brandon want to clap? the Health and Wellbeing Committee is Deanna Leroy, Stan Delorme, Ronna Lee, LaValle, and Eunice Delorme. Everybody clap for them. Next slide, please. And it's turning it over to Barry for the on-reserve labor force development. He said he wouldn't be longer than an hour and a half.
All rise.
I'm not known for talking. Thanks, Chief. Welcome everyone tonight. I'm glad you could make it to or online to be able to. So the best I can explain the programs we have at the Community Preparation Center. I guess labor force development, like the chief said, on reserve is called LFD, labor force development. And she also mentioned that it all across Canada, it's called the Indigenous Skills and Employment Training Strategy, ISETS. But there is what we have here in the LFD. There is the same thing in almost every major city. In Saskatchewan, there are some tribal councils that do the labor force development or the ISETS program for different bands. Also, as the chief mentioned, we are an independent band, so we do our own thing with we get our own money for our LFD, and it's only for. I'm glad she said that because it's I get a lot of calls from members that are in different cities, maybe Western Canada, but I try guide them to the closest city and where they have the ISETS program there. I guess I want to apologize. First, I should introduce my staff. I'm the director of employment training and support. We have an administrative assistant, which the position is vacant right now. And we also have the income assistance intake worker position that's vacant right now. I have someone in mind, and it looks like they may be starting in the month of May in that position. Right now, we have our employment counselor or LFD worker is Colby Goodwin. Colby, give us a wave. Our income assistant support worker is Elaine Stevenson. She helps with the SA clients and things that they need to get done in other areas as the Community Preparation Center. We try work as a team and help one another out. It doesn't matter. This is not my job, or that's not on my. You'll never hear that's not on my job description. We always try work together. And our administration clerk is Ernie Isaac. Because we don't have an income assistance intake worker right now, Ernie is doing most of the work with the help of Elaine and a little bit of guidance from myself. We have a preparation center support driver. Right now, they're having a supper for one of their family members, I think, tonight. So she said she might be late. We help out the health departments with medical transportation. We help out our clients if they have to go with their medical transportation. Also, we have families sometimes that on welfare day don't have a ride, so we'll try and put three families if they're smaller, and take them for groceries and whatever they have to pick up on that day. I'm just gonna. Community Preparation Center provides assessments and support to enter training and to help to get a job or a career. I like to say to get a career because, and even myself, I went to university and I got a job. My first job that I got out of university was the welfare administrator here. I was here for 14 years, and within that 14 years, I think I learned a lot. I met a lot of people. there's still some status number, treaty status numbers that I can remember from. I could name some people's status numbers, their birthdays and stuff I was there so long I could remember all those things. And I think it gave me confidence. I think the community had confidence in me because there was confidentiality in some of those things, and that they trusted me. Um, Community Preparation Center supports the clients with the income assistance until they start training or enter into a workforce. Right now, I think we have a survey. We finished the survey, and we're trying to take data of what we have on reserve in regards to training, what we have on reserve in regards to grade levels, and basically to see what we have and what we need and where we want to go with that, so we can plan for what the programming that we have to get in place here. Also, with some of the other departments, looking at building houses and stuff, we just had a renovation and construction crew that finished, and we hired them as a crew to start working on the houses on reserve. And the next step is to bring the carpentry level 1 to the reserve. And I know there are a lot of carpenters on the reserve, but they don't have no formal accreditation or formal recognition behind them, but they are some of the best. And one of the sponsors, the chief said that we have income assistance, of course, and we have this indigenous training strategy. Strategy. The pre-employment strategy funding came about. It's an ISC program to help the SA clients get into training to get careers or jobs. We applied for grant back in 2016. We got approved for the grant in 2017, but never got really anything together till late 2018. And within that year that we're approved and the funding, that's when we joined the SA office and Labor Force Development Office. Kind of I have no other way to say that, a one-stop shop kind of thing to come in. And if you're coming to apply for assistance, you come and apply for assistance, take an assessment of what you have, what you'd like to do, and then move on. Whether you sometimes we have medical problems, we have other problems that we really can't work right now. So you go to SA, or else you go to the labor force office or the pre-employment director to pre-employment. So take assessments and trying to help you where you want to go, what you want to do, and get your programming and training in that way. And it also gives us a chance to realize, or chance to see what we really need on the reserve. Sometimes these programs really don't apply to what we are going to use or what we need. If the person is inspired enough to move off the reserve when he gets his training, that's all the better for our people. It's after the pandemic, it became a little bit more of a challenge, because I think with staying home so much and realizing with all the handouts, I guess, and it goes for everyone, not just the clients that I'm talking about, but it goes for everyone. And it's not only our community, but it's every community, even the little towns here that I talk with some of the people. It's a challenge to have people inspired to go get training. And I feel so, in our last graduation here with our renovation construction crew, I felt so good, because those guys really they're out there every day, even in the -20 degrees. They're out there putting the sheds together and stuff. And to now, I was able to help and able to provide them with and the housing department, because they're in need of I guess carpenters to renovate some of our vacant homes so that we can move people into them. And we have a crew now that is starting to try to renovate those homes so that we can put people in them. Um, things that we've done in the 2023-24, we have digital transformation in potash mining. We had 9 graduates, and at this moment, all 9 of them are working in the mining industry. Maybe not for Mosaic or Nutrient, but with subcontractors that are working in those mines. 9 of those 6 people that graduated the last program here, 6 of them were from Cowessess. And I remember my dad back, it must have been back in the 60s, was getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I looked out the window this one morning, and there was a old yellow school bus, and it was picking up all the guys on the reserve that were going to work in Esterhazy. And since then, growing up here and going to school here and hearing different people talk and different what they people like to work at the potash mine because it was so close and you made good money, but it was always so hard to get in there. And this program is focused on our people to be able to teach them what's coming. It's not only for what's going on now, but you notice the digital part of it is just like part of the program is they have video games that you play, because in the potash mines they're going to be more digital, and it's just like playing a video game. So we also had one program before that, and I think there was only 3 Cowessess members from there, but we had 9 members graduate from there. And talking with Morris Interactive in the last week here, I think there's only 6 of those 9 that are working in the potash industry, but they are all working, whether it was for their nations or they got a job. I guess this is I just got off the phone with Morris Interactive before I come here, and we are going to have another program starting August 23rd, or the last week in August. It's going to be starting here, and I am already starting to target some of our guys, because they are particular. It's not them, but it's the mining industry, the mining companies like Mosaic, who need you to have driver's license, full grade 12. Those are the 2 most important things. And if I know there's people on our reserve that need that grade 12, I'll try to get it for them. They're people that just need their driver's license, where it's a regular thing every year that we help our people with to try and get their class 5 and their class 7s. So we are going to have another digital transformation in potash mining at Cowessess starting last week in August. Job focus right now, we have 6 students taking a job focus. They're getting different certificates so that they can move forward and go into training or get a job. I got an email this morning. One of the guys, I don't know how to put it, but he has a girlfriend or his woman from Cowessess, and they're living here. But he got a job as a welder, electrician in Cowessess. So he started working in Cowessess, and that's what that job focus was built for, to help you get a job. They write resumes, mock interviews, and stuff like that to help you get a job. Work experience. The work experience we can do with the pre-employment strategy dollars and with the labor force development dollars, and it's wage subsidy with different departments to employ our income assistance clients and our community members. It's not only if, and I think the chief said it, that you don't have to be from here, but if you're living in the community, you're eligible for that. I've put through probably 3 or 4 different guys with Chester. I put through probably about 10 guys with the housing department. And that's what with the 6 guys right now with the housing and doing the renovations. That's the program I'm using for the money. We're able to pay 80% of the wages, which saves a whole lot for the different departments. ABE, of course, adult basic education. And I know in some provinces, not sure about Saskatchewan, but the fastest way was to get your grade 12 was to get a GED. And I think the one province in the east has cut that out. You can't get that anymore. And I think it's coming to Saskatchewan too. So in all the programming within the institutions, it's either a grade 10 or a grade 12. And I think the ABE is the base to start if you want to get training, if you want to have a job, if you want to have a career. So that's why I think adult basic education is so important for the community. Automotive service technician. Of course, we have a lot of members that would like to be a mechanic. A lot of members that are mechanics but really don't have no paper behind them. Probably some of the best mechanics that we have. We're looking at that program, and part of the challenge there is that we need a shop to be able to do that in, and space for a classroom. We have one classroom upstairs in our office, and we have one that we use as a classroom downstairs. We only have 2 spots that we can work in the wintertime. If it's possible, when Jamie and the golf course shut down, I'll put a program on there for them to, because I have another space to use, but also to help Jamie be able to pay for the power and the energy that he's using during the winter. Administrative assistant and Microsoft training. As we all know, or we all see, we have different people at the reception in different offices. And if we're going to be helping them or moving them around like that, they should have the proper training. And that's one of the things that I think we're trying to get here right now. Job placement assistance. The job placement assistance comes from labor force development, and it's the same as I said. It can be applied through the pre-employment strategy funding that only targets SA clients. But if you're going to be, well, at the store, minus 30 degrees, so we help them get the proper clothing to be able to go out there every day and pump gas. If you get a job in Regina, boots, steel-toed warm boots. If you get a job in Regina, we can help you out with your clothing to start work there, help you out with half a month of living allowance until you get your first paycheck and stuff. So that's what the job placement is for. There's different, of course, it's always limited, but we try make it a little bit flexible. Community Helpers Program started in July of 2018, where we, if you're on assistance, halfway through the month, you really don't have that much, or you need more Pampers, you need more milk, you need more bread, or you just want to buy some cigarettes and put gas in your car. We have a Community Helpers Program where different departments or elders need help, that we can give you a gift card from Walmart or Safeway, Superstore, and you'll be able to pick it up. We also can give you a purchase order for the store, or we're working with the Broadview Co-op. If you can't buy meat or vegetables or fruit here, so they can use a purchase order and pick those up also in Broadview at the co-op. Driver's license program, again, class 7, class 5. We always work on it. We want to get a group first, not just work on one at a time. It doesn't really make much sense in cost. So if we can get 8 to 10 people that need them in different levels, we'll be doing that too. There's so much. I don't like to talk that much. I just put together some statistics for income assistance for Cowessess for the month of April. That would be 59 clients. We have 2 families. I didn't put how much total families there. I think there's probably 7 or 8 total. 1 couple that's uncoupled with no children. We have 8 single parents with children, and the majority of our clients are single people. 48 out of those 59 are single people. Labor force development in the ISETS program, we had 48 registered clients. We had 24 programs or activities. That's over the last year, from April 1st last year till March this year. There's some programs and activities include the administrative assistant, Microsoft training, job placement, residential renovation and construction. These are things that we did this past year, and we may have forgot, or I may have got 1 or 2 of them, but ABE, of course, automotive service technician. We have one young gentleman in Winnipeg taking that right now. And he took just a short one before he went there. He really wants to be a mechanic. We had the potash mining one. We also have one young guy got out of grade 12 last year. He's in Regina at taking the first step in electrician. He worked with Jack here through about 6 months, and he enjoyed it. Out of the 48 registered clients, 7 clients are still in the process of completing their programming. 28 have completed their programming and activities. Out of the 28 that have completed their programming, 23 of those clients have entered or retained or gained employment. And that's what the goal is, to get our people trained and get them to work. Count of clients that have barriers. Oh, these are barriers. I got Colby, our LFD worker, to get these stats together. Lack of labor force attachment, 2, none. Lack of work experience, 9 of them. Lack of transportation aid. These are some of the barriers that our clients identify. Remoteness, 7. Education, they all want to be educated. And like I said before, the ABE program is a base program for the community that I think has to stay and thrive on putting our people into getting work and training. Dependent care, daycare, the daycare seems to be full all the time. So if they can't come because they have to keep their kids, or there's no babysitter, that's a barrier. Lack of marketable skills. I don't know what. I guess they don't think they don't have the skills. Physical, emotional, or mental, and that's especially the mental part of it. And since the pandemic it's seemed to brought out or affected a lot of people because of the staying alone, or because of having to stay alone. And there's 6 other barriers. Most clients have reported having 1 to 3 barriers to employment. I think the chief mentioned it. The ISETS program, our labor force development, is a federal program, And it's all based on statistics. That's why we have to we enter into the system that is built specifically for that system, for that program. And it keeps all statistics. It helps us get more money, or it helps us identify places that we're lacking, the gaps that we're lacking. It also identifies where we're concentrating too much, not as a nation, but as a region, and as a nation, I guess, Canada. I guess that's all.
Excellent work, excellent. Any questions, comments? Do you have anything, do you have a plug for you? I was talking with Barry before. Just from my own experience with the program, I've in my education background, I've done a lot of studies in different education programs, schools, and Barry's program was one of them. And when the Saskatchewan government wants to look at a program either to improve it, or look at some of the barriers or some of the problems with it, they hire somebody to go out. And so our department at the university, you use it here for training sometimes with these teachers. We're the ones contracted to go get the information and provide it to the government so that they can form policy on it. So we inform government policy, and I've done that twice. And the first time was with the program that Barry's in the early 2000s, when they were thinking about rolling out this program, and they started to roll it out. And at that time, the part of our job was to go into many of the communities, and ours was specifically the First Nation communities. And we went to many. We went to them in the north, up around Red Earth that way. Some of those programs. And this site was one of them where we came, and Charlene Sparvey, the late Charlene Sparvey, was the one in Barry's position back then. And I was talking with her about we had some information that we had to get, and at that time, just being started, she was talking about how many people on the reserves that at that time needed some kind of skills training. And these were her needs. And I think she was more of a social worker, or that welfare administrator, whatever you call them, at the time. And so she identified all of her clients, and she was trying to identify the needs that the community required and what the needs of her clients were. And I was kind of amazed at this, because she had figured out she had 200 clients, and these were the needs that they had. And at the time, well, those of us that were here, we didn't really have all of this, compared with what we have now. We were just starting out. And then again, we had to come back in 2013. I did that one again, and just looked generally at the programs. And by that time, these things were all getting started. We had to look at some of the problems that well, not problems, but challenges that they had. And and one of them was, of course, the driver's license one. You could train the students, but they can't get it. If they don't have a driver's license, they can't get a job. So those types of things were brought in. The daycare ones were brought in. Those were issues as well for the clients. But you can see how much this has gone on, how many different funding sources that they have to go through, how many different types of training that can be offered at the community level. And one of the important ones, I think, back then was the LPN course. Because when we were doing the study, there was corresponding studies done in the rural center. And one of the things that they identified is we had an aging population in Saskatchewan. And so now they had to realize they need some kind of healthcare training. So they brought in the LPN course, and that's when we had it here. We had, I think, 6 classes under reserve. I'm not sure. And I know that we had about 16 students in there for each class. And it wasn't all First Nation students and it wasn't just Cowessess students, but so now all of those um, graduates, DLPNs are working in the area. And of course, we have two of them under reserve now. My nieces, Catherine and Angela. And my other niece, she took the extra 2 years. So she's a RN now in one of the northern communities. So those are the types of programs that they offer to the communities. And part of it is to give our young people a link to some kind of life, gives them a life of some sort. I don't know what it is, but it's a link. It's an important link. And it was when we were talking with the governments about why it's important is you look at the cost if you don't have a trained Indian. We were talking specifically about us, Aboriginal people under reserves. If you don't train, if they come off the reserve without any training at all, no grade 12, no skill, they're not going to get a job out there. And where are you going to end up? You're going to end up with social services. And the cost of social services isn't just a welfare check. It's when your kids get taken away. It's when you end up in the court system and when you end up in jails. And so that's what we used to face a long time ago when we left the reserve. So all of these are important. That's why I'm giving it a plug. My brother over here, he started off as, they were training over at the, I think you were at the, the old school. Yeah, that's where you were. That's where they took their training. So now he's gone on to be a railroad guy, whatever he does at the railroad. So it's just my plug. And if you have it, I wish there was more young people out here, but I guess they know enough about it. But that's my plug for labor force development. Anyway, great guy. Okay, we got one online. Go ahead.
Every report I try to put in there to the council through Melissa is we need more space. We need more classroom space. We need more shop space. If we had those, we'd be able to train more people here. And not only just our people, we'd have the neighboring nations coming to take the training here too. The carpentry one, I don't think would take too much. We have a shop down here that we could probably do some to it that would make it qualify to be able to have the training here. Well, I also looked at the old shop up the hill, the old high Quonset looking one that needs water and something else, brighter lighting, that we can have the carpentry training there too. There's the shop area, the mechanics course, auto mechanics. There again in the old school, there's the back area there that has a door that we can lift up and probably fix that up to be able to have the automotive shop in there. And that's what our people really like to do, is to be the carpenters and to work on their cars. And also along with that, more classroom space so we can have more administrative assistant courses, more early education courses, more education assistance courses. We need classroom space and shop space. I just wanted to mention that.
This was one of the challenges that many of the First Nations had. Some of them don't even have a spot. So for instance, they'd have this as a classroom during the day, take it all apart, put up the bingo, tables tonight, set it up for bingo. It'd have to be put all back together again in the morning for the classes. And so we have sort of a not bad spot, but since that gray building over there, that's where we had the last LPN course. When the LPN stayed right up until the water was up to the door, I think, and then they had to leave and they never came back. So we need space. Tracy Gray Delorme says they need electrical and plumbing programs, if you could plan for that. And somebody says, good job about the ABE people. And somebody else, somebody else's Barry daughter. Oh yeah, she graduated from the LPN course. Another one graduated. And I think we have 18 online, just about 19 online. Yeah. One more question here.
So my question is, when you have your next driver's course and the person's not from this reserve, are they able to join that driver's course?
There is a cost to it, and if they don't live on reserve, they'd have to find their own nation to pay for it or find some way to pay for it. I was gonna mention that, yeah, my daughter was graduated as an LPN from the first class here too. She's worked in Estevan, Regina, Port Capel, all over. I just mentioned too that it's not just me on my own doing all these things. Quarterly, I meet with the other nations, sometimes with Southeast College, sometimes without them, but we plan on, okay, which program are you gonna have? Can my members go there? Which program you have? And then we kind of collaborate on who's gonna try and get which programs and to help each other out if we don't have the space like I was talking about.
Gonna move on with restructuring, or if there's no more questions, or have a smoke. Smoke.
I want to keep talking.
All rise as Barry leaves, all rise.
Thank you, Barry. Good job. Getting around. We have 19 online. We're getting it back assembled. We have a number of band members in attendance. 16 now. It goes up and down.
Okay, well, welcome back and just, we have to give another special shout out. We're talking about the ladies who showed up no matter what. Well, we have one lady or one of our members who showed up no matter what online as well. So we'd like to give a shout out and an automatic gift card to Mrs. Dorleen Standing Ready. Because she has been with us rain or shine in the comfort and safety of her own home. And that's the beauty of our technology, is that she would not have been able to be part of our sessions and participate otherwise. So thanks, Dorleen, for all your hard work and supporting us, and enjoy your gift card that will be coming your way. Now we go, and it is almost 5 to, hold on, I'll look at it's 10 to 8. And we have one more piece to go, the organizational restructuring. And I'd like to say, way to go, Barry. You and your team do a really, really great job. And and Barry's team is an essential, and the amount of flexibility, even though there's eligibilities within it, within the social assistance program, within the LFD program, and within the pre-employment strategy program. There is so much flexibility to get people past the barriers that are part of the organizational restructuring, where all of the departments work together so that we can get people trained and then working. And the role of the work that Barry and his team do, it could be the pre-training and employment to the actual training and employment, and the post-training and employment, because there's supports that we're trying to put in place so that there's a circle of supports all the way around. And with that, I'm going to ask Melissa Lara, who's our executive director and who is leading the team on the organizational restructuring, along with her directors and the governance team as well. So Melissa.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Melissa Lara. I'm the Executive Director of Cowessess First Nation. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know it's kind of rainy and it's payday, so I also understand all of that. That we don't have as much attendance as we've had other nights. Thanks, Carol, for the prayer and everything, and thanks for all of you who've been so diligent in attending here in person and online. We do appreciate it. As much as I'd like to hear myself talk, it's better to have people around too. So with that, kind of want to just go over how we're looking at the organizational restructure and the different things that we are doing to bring different funding and different expertise together in order to assist and move forward with what we want for our community. An integrated approach. An integrated approach to program and service delivery aims to enhance efficiency and effectiveness by breaking down barriers and promoting collaboration across departments, which is kind of what we've been talking about here. This involves breaking down silos to achieve better outcomes and efficiencies by holistic service provision, coordinated efforts, client-centered approach, data sharing and information systems, policy alignment, resource optimization, outcome focus, and community engagement. This approach recognizes the complex social issues that often require a multifaceted and collaborative response for meaningful impact. So in accordance with all of these things and what we're doing, part of that too is just getting together to collaborate, which is that collaborative piece, to inform ourselves and each other on the different aspects and the different ways our funding works and how we can further assist people so that everybody can work together. Next slide, please. Wraparound services. Part of the integrated approach is the wraparound services, which we've been discussing. They're a key component of integrated service delivery, focusing on personalized support for individuals with complex needs. These services coordinate various supports around the individual, including collaboration among different agencies and providers. And if you'll notice from the little diagram that we have on the slide, in the middle there is drugs and alcohol, and around it is all the different programs and the ways that we can assist and intervene in order to assist, right? So just trying to go after the issues that are in our community in the best, healthiest way possible so that we can move people forward from where they're at. Personalized and flexible support are the keys. Some of the keys to success are personalized and flexible support, coordination across systems, strength-based approach, comprehensive service planning, continuous monitoring and adjustment, single point of contact and case management, focus on outcomes, community engagement and natural supports, culturally complement and trauma-informed care. So when we do get together in our integrated case management meetings, we will have the directors and some support workers from each department. We'll go over what the situation is and what is going on, and we will talk about how each area can jump in and assist in their specific department and unit, which gives us a holistic approach because we're covering all areas when we go to attack whatever issue it is. Next slide. Preparing for prosperity. Preparing for prosperity involves strategic planning to promote economic growth, stability, and well-being for members. This is achieved by economic diversity, infrastructure enhancement, education and skills development, innovation and technology adoption, sustainable community development, collaborative community governance, resilience building, community engagement. These efforts empower communities to create inclusive economic growth, enhance quality of life, and build resilience to thrive in a rapidly changing world. What this also creates is standards and systems for ourselves, right? So a Cowessess standard, a Cowessess system, how that's going to work best because we know our people best. So we know what standards and systems are needed to assist. So that's what we're putting together. That's what we're working on. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm quick. As usual, I'm so fast. So that is part of what we're doing, all of the integration stuff. And you'll see, like when you come to the band offs and stuff, sometimes all the directors will be in the chambers, some support staff, things like that. That's when we're doing those kind of things. We're talking about different things, different people who need assistance within the community and how we can all support that, right? Whatever the issue is. And that's really what we're trying to do is just all work together to make a better place for all of us. Thank you.
Good one.
Good one.
There's just about 4 or 5 of us here, so I guess there's no questions online yet. Nothing? Go ahead.
Okay, where are we going?
Home.
Where we're going. Next slide, please. So, okay, next slide. So once again, with the organizational restructuring and non-reserve labor force development, we are looking at putting together the task force will be mainly the directors themselves. that will put together as well as, so it's the directors. It's Melissa leading the team of directors as well as the governance team. And they will be targeting different sectors as well as bringing in the community concerns as well as the recommendations, and be working with the different other task forces as well as the committees in order to really ensure that we are getting it correctly with our laws and bylaws and to ensure that it's a trauma-informed plan. Next slide. So just as a last question, because we always like to have questions, because it looks like we're actually going to finish early tonight. What are the top priorities you think the nation should address in the area of labor force development?
Questions online yet?
Carol.
Oh, Carol.
I was just thinking that, can we do a survey of some sort that would give us an idea of exactly what training and skills we need on the First Nation? As you know, we are an aging First Nation. We have a lot of seniors, elders on our reserve. And is there a training or something that we could develop that would help the seniors in various life, I guess, to get them, to help them in any way? We need maybe, I don't know what kind of program you could look at that would help our seniors be more active, be more healthy, be more, as we get older, we seem to have lost our we don't want to be left alone at home. We want to be involved in the community, and we want to be helpful in our communities, and we just don't seem to have anything for the seniors going to keep them involved with the community, keep them being helpful, keep them driving to the meetings, keep them going for the programming. I know the health only gets about $500,000 a year for senior programs. I'm wondering if we could put more money into that, into the senior budget so that they could take more programming.
Thanks, Carol. That's, I don't know if Barry wants to make a comment, but that's an excellent idea. And it's not just expecting seniors to always volunteer their time, you know, because we can enhance skill development in different ways, and to be able to have the types of programs that would be under the labor market guidelines. So let's put our heads together and think about that one. So thanks. That's a really good one. But the first part of your question about a survey is that there's a certain part within the LFD or the labor market activities that's called demand driven. And so when you have demand driven skills or demand driven labor market, such as right now potash or whatever the case is, then there's money that becomes eligible, and sometimes additional monies through SciTag for those demand driven skills development. And so I know that Barry's been working on that as well in that area. So Barry, did you want to comment on that?
I was just gonna comment on the second part of it, the pre-employment strategy funding and the labor force development funding is really built for to get our members into training and employment. However, within the pre-employment strategy area, and I think the way the nation is going to go back to our ways and the cultural stuff, and that we do have a men's group and a women's group that meet Men's group, we meet once a week. The women's group, we meet once every 2 weeks, but within that, and I have built a budget around to help the women's group as well and the men's group, basically to help our elders or our knowledge keepers to to teach the ways that we used to have. And that right now for me, that's really all I think, unless there's other suggestions. But, and I'm right now, and I said it last week, we have to, in order to keep our culture, in order to keep our ways, in order to be who we are, we have to learn our language. And I think that's a very big step too. I've talked with Bill and Clarice and to trying to help them out and how can I help them in order to preserve or to teach our languages. And I said it at our directors meeting, I think Sandy is doing a good job, and now with Bill in place to start with our small ones at the school, because that's where it all starts. If they can learn it there and keep it, and then they'll pass it on too. But with the cultural stuff, that's where I think I can help out. The way I can help out is help people like you and the other elders and knowledge keepers to come and be with our women, to come and be with our men and teach them the ways that we got to be learning. I don't know nothing about the.
We
the
could
other-
definitely do that, and Barry needs someone to teach him how to make bannock. So-
That's a
But-
good answer.
You know, through what Barry's saying is absolutely, and that's what you immediately had my mind just going, Carol, in thinking about after school programs. And, you know, while I joked around about bannock, is that we were just talking about even, you know, for Saturday, understanding how to cook feast food and everything else around that. That's a skill that we need to relearn, you know, many of us. And so that would be something that we could potentially use for skill development. So already I'm already thinking and you know, there could be definitely brainstorming sessions on that. So thank you.
And so Rhonda in the back here on the side.
Thank you. I like what you're doing, Barry. But I think like we need to think of now and the future. We need more teachers. We need social workers, nurses, home care nurses, because we are an aging population. And we're fortunate that we have many knowledge and wisdom keepers in our nation. But I like what you're doing, but networking with the other nations for the programs that they're bringing in, because we all have schools, we need teachers, we need social workers. So those are the things that I think that we need to look at. Thank you. Daycare workers.
Good enough.
For the program that Barry works in, and I'm sorry, go ahead, Barry. I've just worked at I was the manager for Regina for several years, so that's how I know his program so well, inside and out. And actually went through a forensic audit. I was brought in to do a forensic audit on an LFD program, so I really know eligibility. The maximum is 2 years, 2-year programs. So what there could be LPN or anything that's 2 years and under or less than for the program. We wouldn't be able to bring in social work programs or teacher programs, but TA programs, yes, and LPN programs, yes. And so, but the good thing is that there's now a stepping ladder, whereas they could take their first 2 years through the LFD program, and then through the University of Lethbridge and different places, you could go on for that extra 2 years after that, but it wouldn't be funded under that program. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
Yeah, I'll add a bit because I'm the one too about teachers programs. And, but I was talking with Barry earlier about, you know, those types of programs, and you just can't up and have a teacher's program one year. We've been teaching all over the province and these, a lot of programs like Barry's. But they need to tap into the pre-employment strategies that you need to draw people into those programs. And we have trouble when you're doing the teachers program, trouble, but same with the social work programs, and they get into the university. They don't have the skills yet in order to be able to successful even in their first year. They need good English skills, writing skills and those types of skills. The other ones is getting to school on time. Very important skill is getting up, being at school on time. And we can't teach our students if they're not if they can't come to school. It makes it difficult to teach teachers if they don't have their grade 12 or they don't have very good English. So I was talking with Barry is in terms of getting ready for those university programs, you need about a year or two of planning and advanced training before you're actually able to establish one in the community because they're not successful. And the other thing is they're at different stages. Every band is at a different stage. And maybe we might not have enough people in here for an institution. I was talking with Barry about it too, to justify its own program. We're having a hard time putting a teacher's program in the community that's around 10, maybe 11. It's starting to stretch it. They're more inclined to go with 20 or 24 students. The only way you can get that is to partner with the other reserves, in order to get our own. But pretty well, if you can get into the first year, at least in our college, we'll do our best to get those students in. So if you have 12 coming in, we'll get 12 out. But they have to be ready to meet the challenges that they face. So that's what I was saying, Barry. You just can't have one all of a sudden. It takes some planning and pre-planning. But I think we have that, and we've done that before. I think there was one student that graduated from our grade 12, although they were from Ochap. I believe they went to the U of S, planning on taking nursing. Whether they did or not, I don't know. But that got them admitted, and it gets them admitted into a lot of other programs as well. That's what I'm saying. It's a link. You don't have to decide right now, but it provides you a link, and you might think of a career on the way through.
The other part is that's what we're talking about, that everything has to be smart and strategic. So the three things that's around our council table, is it smart, is it strategic, and how does it benefit the members, right? And in order to answer those three questions is about business plans. And so when you ask about the surveys and what that demand driven is, and looking at population and looking at how many, young people that we have that will be going through our school system, how many of the aging population, we're able to do those surveys to build that business plan so that we can go to First Nations University or to the U of S or to SIT and to show them this is why you need to bring that program to Cowessess. And then we're able to do that. But like Terrence said, it has to take planning, and oftentimes it takes a good 2 years in order for that to happen, because the higher learning institutions are at least a year in advance in knowing where their programs are going to be taught. So, but that's to say that let's get our butts in gear right now and get those surveys done and build those business plans so that we can say in 2 years, we're starting that LPN program, we're starting that teacher's assistance program, and work towards that. So just because it's going to take us 2 years doesn't mean, oh, that's going to take us too long. That means let's do it starting today. Yeah.
Went online here, Kat Fremont and also Angela. There's an online diploma and degree programs. I'm not sure in what, but Catherine says there's a CCA program. And she's saying there's so many care homes in the area needing workers. Grenfell is building a new long-term care facility and needed a variety of staff as well. So all of that has to do with in a institution like that. I was saying to Barry, like they need a lot. They need the institutional workers for cooking, say. They need them for cleaning. They need them for whatever else they need them for. But or when you walk in there, the lady that you meet or the person you meet at the front, you know, it's always good to see an Aboriginal person there. So those types of entry level positions are important to get into the workforce. And I have this other, I always give a plug for it, is I sit on the Health Quality Council. And we only do it research and policy, but part of it is trying to get Indigenous people into the healthcare field and whatever level, any level, entry level, you know, not just nurses and doctors and stuff, but people that want to work in the healthcare field, in a healthcare institution. So I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, she's saying that we need a whole variety of people. So any kind of program that you can get entry level into those, that's good. That's what I was saying.
This way, if we're going to build 50 homes, we're going to also have to look at landfill. We're going to have to look at all of that infrastructure building. We already are approved for 50 daycare spots, you know, so we need ECE 1 and 2 on Cowessess. We need the builders, you know, the subcontracting fields, the actual, oh my gosh, it's 8 o'clock and my mind is shut off. For the subbing as well as the actual trades, we need those, you know, like we need to build our community and have our own people deliver those services. And that's part of the overall business plan that we need to work on yesterday as opposed to in a year. So daycare is going to be a big one with ECE 1 and 2 with 50 daycare spots coming up, as well as where are we going to put those 50 daycare spots? We need to have a building, you know, so we're starting to see all of the fruits of our labors of especially the last year, but we have to get building those public buildings. And that's the bottom line of that. And we want to ensure that money stays in our community.
Well, that's pretty good. Anybody else? The online people are looking good. Hang on, Carol. Wait, we got talking.
Use the mic.
Online.
Just a comment, Erica, a few years ago, there was a program that the Federation, FSIN, was sponsoring that they were going to give money to build a daycare. And Barry, remember I did a plan? I also did a survey of how many students that we had in school that needed daycare, how many employable people in our band that needed daycare. And at that time, my assessment was for 36 spots. And the plan was to build it attached to the school at the back. There is a plan somewhere that I had developed, and there was funding available through FSIN. I also at that time approached the TLE for $1 million, and they approved it. That's years ago. That they were going to give me $1 million to, and that was going to be a $4 million attachment to the school. And it was for 36 spaces. So I wonder if anybody has funding for building something like that now.
Melissa, do you remember? So the 50 daycare spots is actually coming from Nicole through Chief Red Bear Children's Lodge, but it typically sits with health and Kelly with ECE and Vonnie Francis over at FSIN. So Melissa, do you have an update on that? Have you heard of any capital monies or anything for daycare from the health perspective?
Right. We do have the spots, as the chief was just talking about. In regards to space, we have a few things that are in the works in terms of moving forward with spaces. Part of that is the Center of Excellence that we will be developing and creating right here on Reserve. And part of that building is working with our project management team on the old school. So we're talking about renovations and some different things over there as well. And then with the new funding we have for the new part of the building, well, that would be like a new addition, right? So that we could kind of create a hub there, for daycare, for youth groups, different things that we're going to be working on with youth and well-being. So Chief Red Bear will also be doing some prevention stuff out of there. Like, and this is just all dreams at this point, but this is how we've kind of put together the structure, and we've written a couple of different proposals for funding that have gone in. We just haven't heard anything back yet.
When I actually did that survey a few years ago, there was 3 students in high school that needed daycare. There were students, grade 12 girls that needed a daycare. So what I did was went and I assessed and looked at the young parents on the reserve and see how they were employable, and if they were going to work, would they be working, would they be using the daycare? So that's how I came to the term for 36 seats at the daycare. I also looked at all the older ladies that were currently keeping grandchildren. So those spots were already, that was part of that assessment. And at that time, I had 36 seats, and that was from the students, the 3 students, the young people that were employable, the young students that were already shacking up and were going to have babies, and that were going to use that daycare eventually, and the grandparents that were keeping children. Yeah, there is something someplace.
We need to go find that and then add on there the workers that we're expecting to come in, and at least if they can't live in our community, then their kids can go to daycare here while they're working in the community as well. Like, for example, the Chief Red Bear Children's Lodge staff, instead of, if they can't live in our community because of lack of housing, then at least they could bring their kids to go to school here and go to daycare so that they could work on the reserve without having to rush back or make those other plans.
There was spots in that 36 seats. There was spots for other community members, for other First Nation members that were coming to use our daycare at that time. And there was people employed at the band office and at the school that were from other First Nations that were coming in daily, and they had children, and they were having a hard time for daycare. So we also included those ones.
Here's that,
I
so that
can't
we can
even
go
remember.
back.
I was in council, and at that time, Bachelor Raw was FSIN, and that was who I was dealing with.
Okay, he's still FSIN.
Yeah, but I think he was in health.
Health, okay.
Yeah.
I will contact him, as well as what we'll do is we'll see where it is, because the other thing that we don't believe in is reinventing the wheel. If there's already a good solid foundation, let's work on that. So thank you very much.
When we started the daycare, the daycare included training the staff because we had no staff. So as the daycare was being built, the staff were being trained. So the original staff that were in there were trained specifically for the daycare. And so they knew how much they needed. Anybody online? Okay. Let's have a look here. Online. Can there be a program to hire reserve members to build these 50 homes or other projects and have a few people to train and learn construction? I think we were talking about that before. That's the basic carpentry courses. And also there was people that before developed the daycare. They knew about the regulations, childcare programs, budgets, etc. So that was what I was saying. We've done it before, and that was the model that they employed. But going back to the carpentry programs, I think we already mentioned something about that. Did you not?
Yes, and what we're committed to as a council is that for the new daycare, we don't want it to be an old space, like renovate the hall and put the kids in here. We want a fresh, beautiful new space for the kids. And I know that's something that Councillor Ira is like very, very firm about, probably because he's married to one of our daycare heroes, sheroes in our nation. And so that's one of our commitments, is to make sure that our kids get the best by having something really new for them.
House. Looks like we're done online here.
Oh, I think that it is time for draws.
Yes. There are, the people in the house are Rhonda, they're getting one, by the way.
I think we should, if we would have known at the beginning of this, I think we should have had a contest on how many times Terrence had to change his glasses.
Right. I can't see. I got that laser treatment earlier this year. I can see good, but not all the time. We have, oh yeah, the draws for the in-house. We have the people that came: Gloria, Tim, Roberta, Tyson, Bubsy, Carol, and Roberta. We're just giving them. Okay. On the on online people here, hang on. Somebody come and walk over here. One of our guys here.
Oh, we need some eyes over
Yeah,
there.
Yes. And there are about 20 people in there, and you can pick from any one of these.
Oh, okay, so pick from these.
Yeah, pick from them there. Anyone. Okay, good enough. You're not eligible anyway, so you can pull. Kayla online, that's number one. Pull another one. And we have Debbie Pelche online as well. That's the next one. One more. The last one is Jody, and I have no idea who Jody is. So Jody Delorme. And so you can mark them up for prizes. And go ahead. That's it.
Okay, so on behalf of our council, on behalf of our team here, we thank you all. We thank you. We're going to take this, everything you've told us, and put it into plans and action. And I'm going to ask Terrence if he wants to have the last word here for us.
Process to me. I've been with the running the doing meetings since TLE, and she was talking about, you know, not knowing what to expect sometimes if we're having controversies. But I was laughing when they were telling me this, because Malcolm wasn't there, and I was thinking about the times in the past, and there was times that we've been through that before, and we did it. The point is, we've dealt with issues before, like a community, and we're still here, and we're still the same one sitting here going. And I was walking down the road with my grandchildren at one time, but long time ago. And my neighbor, Gay Sparvey, she's her brother Rook is the chief, and her dad was the chief. And we were having one of our sessions here, those kind of sessions, you know, and everybody's upset. And I was walking down the road, and she stopped. She says, you know, we can't let these things get out of hand at the end, because as we move on, things will change, people will move on, leaders, we get different leaders, and we're still the ones that have to sit here and go on again. You know, we're still the same old ones. And if we're always having conflicts, fine, but we still have to sit down, and we're still a community, and we're the ones that have to move on. You know, we're the ones that have to continue, and we have been. I mean, we've been here. Barry was here 35 years ago, walked right through the whatever is happening in the band office, and made sure that he did his job. And that's why they trust him there, because he always looked after people. It didn't matter what was going on. So with that, like I said, this first time we've sat down as a community for quite a while. And one of our young ladies over here, she was my grade 9 student, Colby. And she says she didn't know what to expect, but one of the ladies back here said, well, you're watching, you're seeing what we're doing is community governance. This is community governance, not Indian affairs stuff, okay? And that's what we're moving into. And it's the first time we're doing it. It's kind of exciting for me because if I was to write you a history of governance, I could see the change from 1992 up until what we have now. And we're slowly moving into a very good direction. But then I will be writing it at I have to. That's my job. That's my university job. Anyway, I got to go do that after. So we'll get together and we'll eat. So 12 o'clock on Saturday, we're going to meet here. Bring what you can to share, and we'll have a community feast to end off our first community session